Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is AI, but hey, the streets are kinda wild too. People are saying there was one kid that didn't participate, so he must be a good guy, and I just say, maybe he sent the command. If a mob of white teens chased down and assaulted an old black man, we'd all be subjected to wall-to-wall coverage of it. Protests, kneeling, a day of mourning. The reverse just happened in New York. If it's not for X, you'd have no clue. And I'm just saying, you're just making a Family Guy meme come true, because by the way you're acting, you're hiding one, but you're not hiding the other one, and mentally, people start thinking like this.
We're still pushing back. We don't want them here. The crime rate has gone up since they've been here. That's a fact. Nobody wants to talk about it, but we live it every day.
What policies would you like to see in place that would limit the amount of people that are there?
Well, listen, there are policies on the book in Congress already. They need to enforce the laws that are already on the books. These people are here illegally. Again, they're not seeking asylum. If they were seeking asylum, they would have gone to the first country that would have granted them asylum, which would have been Mexico. What I would like to see them do, if they're here illegally, they need to go back to their country of origin, and that's immediately. We have no allegiance to these folks, okay? We don't care where they're from.
Does the Democratic platform seem to satisfy your needs as far as what you'd like to see with our immigration policy?
But what platform is that? They don't seem to have a platform. They seem to have open borders. Everybody can come here. Listen, people live in their homes. You have a home or you have an apartment. Do you have a front door on your home?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a back door?
Yes, I do.
Are they locked?
They lock.
Are you locking because you're racist?
No.
You're locking because?
I'm protecting my 4 children that I have at home.
Exactly. Same thing with our borders, okay? It has nothing to do with racism. We have to protect our sovereignty.
Yep.
We have to protect the citizens here. We have to protect our homeland. And so we have to close those borders.
Absolutely.
By any means necessary. Building a wall is an excellent idea. Look at the DNC convention. They built all kinds of walls of security. They have all kinds of police. They wanted to defund the police. They didn't want police protection. But listen, when it comes to them, it's always hypocrisy, built into it.
I think that's a very reasonable reason, but the fact that I said that
is really racist.
Why is it that you get to come here? You ain't put no money on the books, no taxes, bled no wars. You've contributed nothing intellectually here. And you get to come here, you get all these resources that the average American can't. What about our homeless children?
What about our veterans?
This is the game right now. Wow. So all of those things are connected, and it starts by not giving the children the resources that they need because you're still in the money.
But whoa, let's be fair. You do get resource. You got a mobile Planned Parenthood truck. The drive comes by like an ice cream trucks, provides you with abortion and vasectomy. I mean, they're helping. They're not replacing you.
What are 3 words that come to mind for you?
Very, very angry. The Democratic Party realizes that the black vote is dwindling because the Democratic Party has not delivered for the black community.
Actually, they were delivering you the most important thing through feminism, abortion. But on a different subject, what the heck is immigration? Can we really solve it?
Yes, we can. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Sorry, wrong video, but I don't want to hear from the current vice president chosen by a vice president that chosen herself as a president. That's not democracy.
Some people say that mass immigration into the United States can help reduce world poverty. Is that true? Well, no, it's not. And let me show you why. This gumball represents the 1 million legal immigrants that the United States has taken every year on average since 1990. Now, who in the world deserves our humanitarian compassion? The World Bank has one measure of the desperately poor of the world. They make less than $2 a day. And how many people make less than $2 a day in the world? We'll start with Africa. In Africa alone, there are 650 million people who make less than $2 a day. 650 million. And in India, another 890 million people, desperately poor. China adds another 480 million people, making less than $2 a day. And unfortunately, the rest of Asia has a heartbreaking 810 million people who the World Bank says make less than $2 a day. And finally, there's 105 million of Latin America's population that are desperately poor. All told, the World Bank says there are 3 billion people in the world, 3 billion people who are desperately poor, making less than $2 a day. That's 3,000 gumballs. And every year, we take a million and suggest that we've somehow made a humanitarian difference?
I don't think so.
Of course, we don't pull our immigrants from these desperately poor populations, do we? These people are too poor, too sick, too disconnected to make it here as immigrants. We tend to pull our immigrants out of the better off poor of the world, and Mexico tends to define the type of immigrant that we bring here because the plurality of people come from Mexico.
The better off people are the ones that can find for the ideology to promote what they want to do, but in the end, they're not really solving the issue. But if you try to solve the issue,
that's racist.
How many people in the world live in countries that have average incomes lower than that of Mexico? And the World Bank tells us that that number is these 3 billion plus another 2.6 billion people. 5.6 billion people in the world who live in countries with average incomes below that of Mexico. That's 5,600 gumballs. And so what is it that the elites are telling us? They're telling us that when we take this 1 million immigrants, that we somehow or another are tackling world poverty. And we have to do it regardless of the effect on our unemployed, the working poor, the most vulnerable members of our society, regardless of the effect on our natural resources. Even if we went by the most radical proposals in Washington, which are to actually double our immigration to 2 million a year, which would totally overwhelm our physical, natural, and social infrastructures, we couldn't make a noticeable difference. And we may be really hurting the impoverished people of the world because the million that we do take are among the most energetic, often the better educated, certainly the most dissatisfied people that if they did not immigrate would be the agents for change to improve the lot of all the people in these countries. The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country but instead stay in their countries, to apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen. The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added, births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished population.
I'm just saying, we need to help them in a different way. And we're not doing that. I just hope that the amount of people that are coming over are not going to replace the culture that is helping them, because sooner or later you're replacing the person that actually wanted to help you, and sooner or later you need to help yourself, and they didn't even help you in your own country. So hey, you're just going to create two problems that's not going to help itself.
And this year Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants, and this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people. And next year, you can be quite sure that Congress, unless stopped by the American voters, will bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations. We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries. Not in this century. Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world. They have to be helped where they live. 99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Let's help them there.
So it's not that I don't want to help people. All I'm saying is the way we're helping people, we're not solving anything. You just really feel good about yourself and you're pushing it in my face.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush hash, purple skunk, criollo, colombici, jam jam, turloqueta, verdetta, welcome.